You won't believe how this ended, and honestly, I still can't believe I made it out alive. I grew up in Ripley, West Virginia, a small, quiet town where everybody knew your name and where your business was everyone's business. Wasn't the kind of place where people went missing, not officially anyway, but there was one road outside of town, Miller's Hollow, that our parents told us never to drive down after dark. It wasn't on most maps, and if you asked older folks about it, they'd either pretend not to know what you were talking about or they'd give you that look, half warning, half fear. When I was a kid, my cousin Jason told me the legend that Miller's Hollow was cursed. Supposedly, back in the 1950s, a school bus full of children vanished there during a thick fog. The bus was found days later, empty, with the driver slumped over the wheel, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a silent scream. The kids were never found. The story went on to say that sometimes, on foggy nights, if you drove down that road, you'd see headlights behind you that didn't belong to any car you knew. And if you stopped, they'd get closer and closer, until they weren't headlights at all but to burning white eyes staring through your rearview mirror. I always thought it was just a local ghost story, something to keep us kids from joyriding too far out. But 2 months ago, after my father passed away, I found an old box of his things in the attic. Inside was a black and white photograph of him and 3 other young men standing next to a rusted school bus. The words Miller's Hollow 1973 scrawled on the back. My father never mentioned going there, never told me he had seen it. There was something about the way he looked in that picture, like he was forcing a smile, that made my stomach twist. Last week, I couldn't get it out of my head. I'd been drinking a little, trying to dull the loneliness that comes after a funeral, and maybe that's why I did it. Around midnight, I grabbed my keys, got into my truck, and decided I was going to find Miller's Hollow. The first hour was just empty country roads, the kind I'd driven all my life. But eventually, I came to an intersection I didn't remember, with a weather-beaten wooden sign pointing down a narrow lane, Miller RD. The sign leaned at an angle, like it had been there for decades. I turned without thinking. The pavement was cracked, grass pushing up through the asphalt, and the trees on either side grew so close together their branches tangled overhead, blocking out the moon. My headlights carved a weak tunnel through the darkness. After maybe 5 minutes, I saw fog rolling in thick and heavy, clinging to the road like it had weight. My truck's beams caught something in the distance, the faint glimmer of taillights. Another car, out here. I pressed the gas a little, trying to catch up, but no matter how fast I drove, the lights stayed the same distance ahead. That's when my radio crackled. I hadn't touched it, but static bled into the cab, sharp and cold. Then, underneath the static, I heard it, children's laughter. My chest tightened. I told myself it had to be a station bleeding in from somewhere, but when I reached for the knob, the laughter stopped and a man's voice whispered, "Don't look back." My hands froze on the wheel. I didn't even realize I'd slowed down until the taillights ahead suddenly blinked out, like they'd never been there. The fog thickened until I could barely see the end of my hood. That's when I noticed the road ahead wasn't paved anymore. It had turned to dirt and gravel, and deep ruts shook my truck. I should have turned around, but something kept me going. Maybe stubborn curiosity, maybe something else. The smell hit me next, wet earth mixed with something metallic, like old blood. My stomach rolled. I kept driving until I saw it, the bus. The same bus from my father's photograph, sitting half buried in the weeds off to the right. The paint was almost completely gone, the windows black as pitch. My headlights swept over it, and for a second, I thought I saw faces staring back from inside, small faces, pale, eyes too wide. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. I stopped the truck without meaning to. The engine idled in the oppressive silence, and even the crickets had gone quiet. Then, from the bus, the door creaked open, slowly. I couldn't breathe. Something stepped out, not a person, not really. It was shaped like a man but too tall, its arms hanging almost to its knees, its head tilted naturally to one side. The fog curled around it like it was part of it. I reached for the gear shift, but before I could move, I heard the children's laughter again, louder now, coming from all directions. My headlights flickered. The thing took a step toward me, and I saw its eyes white, glowing, no pupils, just light burning in the sockets. And in that moment, I knew it was wearing someone's skin, stretched wrong over bones that didn't match. I slammed the truck into reverse and floored it, tearing backward down the road. I didn't care if I hit something. I just needed to get out. The laughter chased me, twisting into screams, until suddenly the fog broke and I was back on the cracked pavement under a clear sky. My chest was heaving, my hands slick with sweat. I drove straight home, locked every door, and didn't sleep until sunrise. The next day, I went back to that intersection to see if I'd imagined it, but the wooden sign for Miller RD was gone. No tire tracks, no turnoff, nothing but an unbroken tree line. I still have my father's photo, but now, when I look at it, I swear the bus door is open and there's something standing just inside, smiling.